Bitcoin price, altcoin price at the same price they've been for the last few days. What is going on? Is there a big amount of manipulation suppressing the price in the crypto market from Binance? Why would it be? Is there a time that we can look to for when this might stop? We've got some incredible charts and data that we're going to be going over today. So everybody get active in the live chat, get active here on YouTube and on Twitter. Let us know what you're seeing, what you're feeling. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? We got some, I think this is coiling up into such an incredible bullish spring, but what are we going to do about it? With that being said, let's get into it now. The price is at the same place that it feels like it's been for the last many days now. So what is going on in the crypto market? Is there manipulation from Binance or market makers just forcing price action to the downside? Well, let's dive into it. Doing a little later start today. We had a blockchain basement go live after Discover Crypto. I had some stuff I had to do this morning, and now we are getting into it right now. So let's talk about what we are seeing, because it's exactly the same. I mean, we look at this on the daily chart. It's very interesting when you just realize, I mean, all of these, I mean, look at this, 96.6, 96, basically 96.5, 96.5, 96.5, 96.5. And then we got, oh, we pushed up, but then we came back down. Then we pushed up, then we came back down. The price is just not being able to get let go to move to the upside. Renegade Designers says the spring is winding so tight. And I agree with that. I feel that. I see that. I hope you're all, staying on the right side of this, because so many people are getting chopped out here because of impatience. In fact, if we come back over here, let's come back up to my page. I actually shared this earlier. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. And this is it. Bitcoin and crypto degens, all of us impatiently waiting for the most bullish setup in history to really kick off, right? Yet the sentiment, it feels like it's a full bear market. People are so down. They're impatient. They're frustrated. They've been chopping themselves out just because they're tired of the chop, or they're just jumping at every move that they're just diminishing their bags. And the answer right here is to stack. But dumb money is exhausted. Smart money is just feverishly buying up that fear. And in fact, we got a great comment here just shouting out from Mean Dean 620. Said, Kelly, we have no more money. This is the 213th dip in the past 6 months. Everyone is out of dry powder because we expected to be further along. I'm speaking for the investors, not the traders. We're tired of the blue balls. Are you frustrated? I'll tell you right now, I'm frustrated. If you're frustrated in any way, throw a 1 in the chat. Although I'm frustrated, I'll also have those two voices in my head where I listen to that frustration, while I also remember that frustration is a signal to me, especially when we see what is brewing up, what is setting up, what is coming to fruition for the landscape of where we are going. And we see, was that Mickey 911 says God candles coming next week. Could that be the case? I don't know. We'll have to see, because we got some things sort of shaping up that might be something that is coming, but we don't know. We got to look at what the charts say, what the data says. And so let's dive into it right now. And remember, I feel you, but hold. All right, now let's get into it, because we got some things we got to talk about. We're still sitting here. This has been the same. 3.17, 3.2, 3.21, 3.16, 3.17, 3.1. The market is just hovering. I mean, look at these, all sideways, chop range, sideways, chop range, sideways. I mean, this is tether. Kind of a little bit of growth here, but really sideways chop range. BNB took the cake here with actual movement to the upside. A lot of information, awareness coming out right now about BNB, because CZ's been out there tweeting about it. In fact, he's been alluding to a dog. His dog, the name of the dog and the picture of the dog was going to be posted today, and it was. I was just actually on a Breaking Spaces before on the Mario Nafal channel talking about this broccoli and how it's just, to me, no offense to anybody else, to me, it's just absolute noise. I think it's absolute dog shit. I don't think any of that. I do think it detracts from the space, some of this meme nonsense. But this awareness has really brought, a little bit of pumpage to the BNB chain. But again, Solana up and back down, sideways. Dogecoin basically chopping range, everything. Look at this, just sideways, 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 sideways. It's frustrating, right? But who cares if you're frustrated? Who cares? The market doesn't care, but I care, because that's why I do this every day, to help bring some sense. This has turned into a crypto comfort, post-traumatic stress, just, consoling each other show. So, hey, the data is still very, very bullish. So what is that data? First off, why did the market have a little bit of a push up and sell off yesterday? Well, President Trump says today is a big one for reciprocal tariffs. Puts a little bit, okay, do we de-risk a little bit? And then right after that today, update, Trump's tariffs to be delayed. May begin on April 1st. So kind of removes some of that pressure. But then we see right after that, then we get the PPI. Yesterday we had the CPI, Consumer Price Index, and this one is the leading data on that point, which is Producer's Price Index, how much it costs to make goods. If the cost to make goods goes up, that cost ends up getting passed forward to the consumers in the near future. Falco, $5 super chat, says, you know what time it is? Smash that like button, hit that like button, and pray for my bags. I'm praying for your bags. I'm praying for each and every one of you. Let's get this together. Great. Another S coin, says Blue Green. I agree. I think that's why, I've de-risked significantly in my altcoin portfolio. I do have two smaller cap coins. One of them is Constellation DAG, and I think that's going to be a major cap in the near future. But then also, of course, Dog on Bitcoin, because I don't consider that a meme coin because of the fundamentals around it. But also you got to take a little bit of a risky flyer at some point, right? So that's my risky flyer, and I probably am a little over allocated to it, but I'm probably going to add some more to it as well. But considering this, we get a little bit of wind taken out of the sails. Why does this matter? Because if this is up year over year, month over month, core PPI, also year over year, month over month, up, we're seeing inflation isn't cooling. This makes it more difficult for the discussion about potential rate cuts. And everybody thinks we need rate cuts in order to have the market to go up. And that's not the case. I showed you the chart yesterday. We've had prices going up with quantitative tightening and with quantitative easing. Now, quantitative easing can make it better, but we've also seen periods of price action falling in times of quantitative easing. So there's not a direct one-to-one correlation, but this does spur that sort of certainty-uncertainty debate that makes it easier for market makers to push it around. So is that happening? Well, we're going to get into that in a second. In fact, we're going to get into it right now. Have Binance paid their Department of Justice $4.3 billion fine? Remember, they got fined for everything what CZ went to jail for. $4.3 billion fine. Have they paid that by selling and moving crypto to Coinbase? Binance owed the U.S. Department of Justice $4.3 billion in fines and had to pay in forfeited property by March 2025. That's in 16 days. Based on their proof of reserves from January 1st, 2025 to February 1st, their balances of Bitcoin, XRP, and Solana, if sold based on today's prices, probably higher earlier in the month from when this started, account for $370 million in Bitcoin, $3.4 billion in Solana, $230 million in XRP. What does that equate to? Roughly about this exact amount that they need. So have they been selling? Here are the proof of reserves. Do the math yourself. And he's showing essentially what is going on with their reserves. So has there been some selling? When we look at the price, we've seen the price, we've had this moves up, sell off, quick move up, sell off. Okay. Move up, sell off, move up, sell off, move up, sell off, move up, sell off. Is this manipulation? That's what some people would claim. Maybe it's also something that they just needed to do, harvest some money out of the liquidity pools that they have to pay off $4.3 billion in the fine that they had. So this could be the case. And remember, now we are 5 days away from when the FTX disbursements of $16 billion in stablecoins starts to make its way forward. And, we're having these tariff discussions with Trump. And what does that matter? We want to talk about Bitcoin and altcoins. Well, this is creating a little bit of uncertainty in markets, and therefore things are a little de-risked right now. And the random retail mom and pops, new people coming in, that's not the case right now. The money that's in the market right now are people like you and I, and also big players that are either sitting in stablecoins, sitting in the sidelines, but also we're seeing massive buys in particular areas of the market, like Chainlink, like ONDO, like Aave, like even Move. I didn't even know what Move was before World Liberty Finance started stacking into that. And other things like XRP. And now we're starting to see some movement on Cardano. We're starting to see some sort of the institutional or big money selections about where they think liquidity is going to be concentrated. So shout out to everybody as a pile in the room. Welcome to the show. By the way, if this is your first time here, I can guarantee you it's not going to be your last time here. By the way, my name's Kellam. Welcome to the BitLab Academy family. Shout out to our channel partners, CoinW, NordVPN, and Arculus. They help keep us going. And every one of you that is a member here on the channel, thank you for being here. If you want to be a member, all you got to do is make sure when you're watching this, I don't know why we get so many people that watch on a daily basis that are not subscribed, meaning people that come back and back and back. Just hit that subscribe button right here. Make sure it says subscribe. Turn on your notifications. Once you hit subscribe, it should say join right there. Click that join button. Join us here in the BitLab family. Help us keep the lights on, baby. And, you know, I just want to say how much I appreciate y'all. Now, coming back, make sure you hit that like button too. Bop. Now, coming back over here, what else we got? Do we have other evidence of manipulation pushing price down? Now, the reason why I bring this up is because this is good. And we have to remember, nobody buying or selling is technically manipulation, because everybody buying and selling is manipulation. When you buy the market, when you're buying along, you're hoping the market goes up. When you're selling a short, you're hoping the market goes down. Big players, whether they have $2 billion, $200 million, $20, $2, when you're buying or selling, you're in the market to make money. So this is just the nature of the game. So if there is supposed manipulation in this market or needed selling from Binance, or even if it's for the intention of manipulation, this is actually a good thing. Now, it does suck if you're getting caught on the wrong side of these moves every single time, but that's why we talk about this on a daily basis, because it's about strategy. It's not about emotions and hopes and fears in this market. Strategy, baby. So are they selling to cover that $4.3 billion fine that they need to pay by March, which is 16 days away, which they wouldn't just do it in one clip. They'd do it over a period of time, right? Well, then we also see other data like this from Wintermute. Golly, why is Bitcoin down? Because these two companies are back at it again. Two large transfers every hour on the hour. When will David Sachs address this? We can never have a strategic reserve when companies like this can wipe out people's leverage plays over and over again. But I would argue that this happens in every market. When things get over leveraged or overhyped in one direction, the market tends to push it a little bit further, capture that FOMO, and then move it the opposite direction to capture the liquidity. That is why when you look, I think did I delete it? I deleted it. Let me pull it up. Coinglass.com, liquidate. That's why when you look at, oh, that's not what I want to see. Liquidation heat map. When we look at this and we realize that this is just price action stealing liquidity in both directions. I mean, it's just trying to really capture people, trap them long. Look at this. Let's go up. All these people shorting, let's clear their liquidity. Okay, cleared it. Now let's come down here and you know, basically trap people the other way to get them to start doing shorts. Boom. Now we got this down here. Now we have all the liquidity up. So this is just moving back and forth to take free liquidity in the market. So is it manipulation, or is this also potentially part of them trying to collect or make liquid that $4.3 billion? Who knows? But all we do know is that the landscape of what we're seeing into the rest of this year is overwhelmingly bullish. Now, what if this price action goes sideways through now all the way through the summer? And then we have a huge bullish push because we have such a big spring built into 2026. Maybe we top sometime in the middle of 2026 or beyond. People would argue, and I've said myself, that the idea is, based on the 4-year cycle, that October-ish, October, November will likely be the market cycle top. But with all of these incredibly bullish things like strategic Bitcoin reserves and state Bitcoin reserves and capital channels and some of the data I'm going to show you here in a second, just leads me to believe that these institutions and big sovereign players and big money, big, you know, wealth players in the market who are now only getting comfortable with Bitcoin, we may be just seeing a song and dance until there's just no more OTC desk, meaning over the counter, meaning you're not buying it off exchange. When Michael Saylor's buying, he's not going on Coinbase and pressing buy. He calls up and says, hey, I got $4 billion I want to buy, or $2 billion I want to buy. they agree on a set price so it doesn't create slippage in the market. Meaning when you buy, because all of us have done this, at least I hope you've seen this at least once in your own case. If you go and try to buy a meme coin, or you go and try and buy a super micro cap on MEXC or CoinW, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on the exchange either. With something that has a super small amount of liquidity, and you just clip one clip, you mean like market buy $1,000 or $3,000, and on your buy, you see the price go. So the price you're seeing, you're like, wait a minute, why is my average price up here? Because there's no liquidity to fulfill all those orders in the order book. Now, that doesn't happen to you or I when we're buying Bitcoin or Ethereum or Chainlink or ONDO. However, when you're buying hundreds of millions into the billions of dollars amount, that basically, you basically get, I don't want to say a wholesale price, but think of it like a wholesale price where you're saying, I'm going to buy this amount, and you basically make that purchase from something like an exchange or something that is allocated for these over-the-counter purchases. So you're not buying and just completely destroying an order book that changes the price that you're getting it at. So with that being said, is this why they're just slowly clipping off? I don't know. Well, then we kind of look over here. Binance dumped all altcoins more than minus 90%, but they still have a lot of tokens left, which they bought for cheap. So in the next months, will they? He said they will. I'll say, will they pump the altcoin market and use all the news as exit liquidity again? We've seen this time and time again. Don't be a noob. Buy now and use Binance as exit liquidity later. Now, continuing on, what else we got? This is a further sort of, I don't want to say evidence, but look at, you tell me what this looks like. Market manipulation on Binance? Is it? I don't know. This is the 1 minute chart for XRP and Bitcoin. They both dumped at exactly the same time in massive volumes. This is the exact same minute. Boom, dump. And this is a 1 minute chart looking right here on the same minute, dump, and then the same amount of bleeding to the downside. So you tell me, is it market manipulation? Is it algorithmic? Is it something that was scheduled? Who knows? These are not whales or institutions sitting there in chat going, 1, 2, 3, go, dump now. These are sophisticated bots that operate across multiple tokens with their war chests in the hundreds of millions. Wouldn't surprise me if it was Binance themselves doing this. I mean, who's watching them? No one. No one reviews trades, cross match against order books and users. So this is just something to remind yourself. I'm bringing this up not because I'm like hating on Binance or is it right or is it wrong? You need to go into every trade, into every investment in this market almost devoid of morality, right? In the judgment. I mean, we need to be moral people. We need to be good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to be agnostic from emotions when you're seeing, well, why did this happen? Well, it happened because of that. Great. Learn that and then add that to your tool set for how you're navigating this market. Because this market is so much bigger than you and I trading on our phone when we're driving, or so much bigger than you and I when we're, we set it, we see the perfect trade and we buy. How come when I buy, then it dumps? There's so much bigger things at play. And there's a lot on the table right now with the bullishness that's moving forward. We have to realize there might be some players out there that are trying to trigger as much emotion as they can. And seeing as this is tightening and coiling up, you're starting to lose the fervor of the bulls and you're losing the excitement of the bears, which is why you're getting that tightening range. Now, the question is going to be, which direction does it explode? So let's continue on. We're going to get into the charts here in just a second, some TA. And just remember, the United States of America is turning so orange. So far, 29 states proposed Bitcoin-related bills. 29. Think about this 6 months ago. There might have been one. The momentum, the bullish underlying, when you're speculating on forward price action, like months down the line, the underlying fundamental structure that is in support of Bitcoin is growing exponentially, and people are bearish right now. No, look for opportunities before this market explodes. And then we see big money is moving. Bank of Montreal just 10x. Bank of Montreal just 10x their Bitcoin ETF holdings from 13 million to over 150 million in 1 quarter. The institutional flood is only just starting, guys. Let's not be bearish. And then we see this from On-Chain College. The Bitcoin Everything Indicator is screaming similarities to the run-up during the 2017 cycle. If history even slightly rhymes, we're in for much higher prices for Bitcoin this year. We have basically this 1, up, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see how the 4 goes to 5, and then you get the sell-off, a lower high here, reset, launch. So same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the lower high here is launch next. This would suggest we might be somewhere about right here on this chart. The data is lining up. We are just being impatient. And then we talk about altcoins. How many of you hold more? If you look at the total amount that you hold of all crypto, is the amount of money in your portfolio higher in altcoins or higher in Bitcoin? Unfortunately, the majority of people have more altcoins, the total value in their portfolio, the percentage, than they do Bitcoin. But at the same time, is it unfortunate? Let's look at it. Well, when we look at this data, look at this stochastic RSI here. Bitcoin basically Bitcoin dominance showing signs of reversal. Stoch RSI looks exhausted. Look at this. And now in this case, note this area right here where this still persisted higher. You can't ignore that because this did clip down right here. You see this? Oh, it's going to break down. Only for this entire time, this continued pushing higher. So this is showing a sign, but not all the signs. This is showing a sign that we may be in for something like this. You see at this point right here, we got a bit of a sell-off, but it still continued higher. But this is this persistent move up. The difference here is we also have basically a double top with this high. Yeah, we got a wick here, but the candle bodies, we got a double top here. And if this is the moment where this starts to break down, then maybe we're going to start to get that altcoin movement that we've been watching. He said, no Bitcoin, just alts. So many DJs. Guilty, like 90% in altcoins, says Falco. You know what? Hey, everybody has a different strategy, different risk appetite. Some people are full of degen in it saying, I'm trying to quadruple my holdings against Bitcoin. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Remember, if you are holding altcoins, you need to diversify responsibly because there's no telling what could happen. But continuing on here, what do we all see? Ethereum whales just bought almost $100 million worth of ETH in 2 hours. Now, this was last night, but we've been seeing a persistence of big institutions stacking into ETH. World Liberty Finance, more than 1.5xing, or two. They've gotten over 100,000 Ethereum in the last, in the last 3 weeks, and they just continue to buy. And then you see other stuff like this, where you see ONDO just got listed on Robinhood in Europe, along with Algorand. Access points opening up. Then you see right here, Constellation DAG, all this discussion with what's going on with Doge, and they're basically Elon's suggestion that, a lot of these things need to be on the blockchain. Well, Doge's push for government efficiency creates the perfect opportunity for blockchain adoption. But beyond that, who are they going to pick? Now, there's a lot of speculation, and I don't think it's going to be one. There will probably be different things for different types of things that are going on within different types of transactions and use cases within the government. But remember, Constellation DAG has already got partnerships with the Department. They're already working with the Department of Defense, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Transcom, which is, you don't understand how much data U.S. Transcom transmits an hour. It would blow your mind. So data protection, encryption, all that, that's what Constellation DAG does. And it's feeless transactions. And then on top of that, if you ask AI, best recommendation for the Department of Government Efficiency, well, for government-wide efficiency, Constellation Network is the best choice due to its hypergraph technology, seamless Web 2 integration, feeless transaction, and proven partnerships with the Department of Defense. But then remember, it doesn't mean this is going to be the one, because you also have Hedera, you also got Polkadot, you also have other things that are kind of chomping at the bit as well, like Cardano, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But again, the type of partnerships and the way the circles Constellation DAG is moving in, and they're not even paying attention. I mean, what are you looking at? But let's get into the charts, because we got about 15 minutes left. And this is just nothing. There's no TA I can give you on this. We've been breaking this down since all the way over here, but this is just, we talked about it yesterday, the stair step fashion that we saw with gold. This is doing the same thing, stair stepping to the upside. So we got this move up, stair, up, stair, up, stair, up. And it's kind of doing that same thing right now. Now, do we get the washout? I'm still heavily leaning on the bullish breakout in terms of where this is going to have continuation, but I am not counting out the possibility of Bitcoin having a washout at some point, because I was talking about this with TJ this morning. There's so much that is just We have a new crypto-friendly administration. Sure, we've got a new crypto-friendly administration. We should be so bullish, and it is so bullish for where this year is going to end up and what we're seeing into 2026 and beyond. But we also have, with this new administration, a complete shakeup of how our government is operating on the global economic stage. Now, is that a bad thing? No, I think it's absolutely incredible for what's happening and the tariffs that are being brought to bring people to the negotiation table, to make things more equitable, to cut out wasteful spending. All of it's good, but it's creating uncertainty in the market just running away right now. And we don't have the clarity on what the strategic Bitcoin reserve is going to be or when. Also, what the digital assets are going to be potentially in a digital asset stockpile. So while the landscape looking on the monthly basis over the rest of this year is incredibly bullish, there is some cause for, in the near term, a little concern looking at charts that we could get a big washout to the downside on any of these, I won't call it black swan, but gray swan uncertainty events that could shake the market up. But this would be a dream to get price to come down here before a launch off of this, if we get it. I'm not saying we're going to, but as price is holding in this zone, so long as it holds above about $90,000, 89,600, I think that this zone is just an accumulation before that next move to the upside. Now, continuing on, we also see ETH. People have just counted ETH out because they're so excited. And I like Solana. I like Sui. I like Aptos. I like Avalanche. There's so many different coins out there that are taking people's narrative focus. But then you see, let's put this on log here. This is just a giant, sort of ascending triangle. We have a rising level of support. We had the bears really tried to, just shot right back up. But flat level of resistance. If this can just, pinch in here, even a little longer, I don't expect this could happen. I don't expect this to do this, but it very well could, which would chop us out. Look at that, all the way to February 2026. Nothing is guaranteed in this market on a time basis. There's so much bullishness on everything happening in this market. It actually begs the question, we don't have new retail and just buying the FOMO hype to really drive this exponential growth. Until we get some clarity on what the government's going to do, we have all they've alluded to it, but we need the clarity. Here's the date. Here's how much we're going to buy. Here's the coins that we're going to stack. Until we get the states, there's so much on the cusp right now. So we very well could be taking advantage of that with these big market makers and large institutional players just really taking advantage of the market before we break out. Do I think that's going to happen all the way into February next year? No, but it's very possible. If you don't account for this massive, this looks like an inverted Head and Shoulders, right? But this completely destroys that narrative. I still think that we're going to get a move up sometime in the near future to at least test to this range, $3,200, which is these range lows. If we're able to, maybe small rejection, too many damn lines. Let's go like this. If we do push up into this zone right here, small rejection, and we're able to hold it, push up, find some support, come up into this zone. This is that zone we're really watching, $4,000, which is this flat level of resistance. If we can clear that, then I think it's all systems go. Now, the question is going to be, is it going to be something like this where it takes all the way to July for that to happen? Or, because I'm on the 3-day chart, or is this going to be something because we've been loading up such a tight coiled spring of bullishness? If we're able to, get some sort of positive news or some major buy orders or something that just kicks the liquidity into gear, and this really does start to rip up, into February, into March in the zone, it's going to all depend on when this happens and why, because the bullishness is here. I think we're expecting it too soon. Now, again, we got 5 days before we have that $16 billion deployed into back to holders, right? FTX participants that have been holding on for 2 years to get their money back. Now with Ethereum, they're getting like 115% back, and the price was roughly about the same price it is now. With Bitcoin, they're getting 120% back, right? Of the price that it was back when FTX collapsed. And that was like, that was somewhere in like the $16,000 range, right? So they're getting less back. Yes, they're getting 120% of that market value. So they're not getting anywhere near what the cost of Bitcoin is now. So the question is going to be, this is going to be persistent with all the different coins based on the price they were back then. How does that money get deployed in the market? Do people predominantly throw it into Bitcoin? Do they like, okay, Bitcoin's run away. Okay, if the ETH hasn't moved, let's just throw it all back into ETH. Do they sell out? There's some questions around how this is going to get deployed. I think probably 60%, 60 to 75% will more than likely get redeployed back into the crypto market. But to what sector? To Bitcoin, to Ethereum, to Cardano, to, who knows? Who knows? ONDO wasn't even around back then. Remember, ONDO came out about January, February last year. So there's a lot of different plays here that we need to pay attention to. But then you look at BNB. BNB bucked the trend. Are we going to see something like this pop? I mean, look at this formation. The breakdown, sell off, little consolidation. Now look at Ethereum. The breakdown, sell off here, consolidation. Are we going to see something? Remember, we said it could be all the way till February for it to break out. That's if it's a slow burn. If we get something like we just saw on BNB, this is exactly the same right here. So let's go ahead and take, I always forget how to do this because I don't ever do it. Bars, no. I can't remember how to do it. Let me give me 1 second. It's here we go. There we go. So can I copy this? And let's see, boom, copy. Can I come over here to ETH? Can I do paste? Yes, we go. So if this were to happen on ETH, this would be the same thing, right? So this is BNB, right? This all we did. We took it from the breakout. And now if we look at this on ETH, what would that look like? This would accomplish, if that fractal were to play out, this would accomplish a push up, roughly kind of breaking this high, coming back, retesting all these highs, and then launching right back up into this zone right here where all of this chop was. Now, we haven't seen how it plays out beyond that on BNB because we've got the big, look at this, big sell-off that came right back to this trend line that we had days ago. We had this when the price was like here. So now BNB broke out beyond it, came back, currently wick below it, but is testing just above it. If we were to see something like that on ETH, let's see, option T, we got a bit of a trend line like this. Let's make this a bit brighter. So this, we could kind of expand this a little bit. Like, would this be something like this? We'll have to see, because this is all speculation at this point. But the point being here is rather than have this slowly melt, because you could argue that this very well could slowly melt, all the way across, or we're going to get a very fast rippage up here, chop, and then really kind of kick off that liquidity cycle. Because what's going on right now, it's not just the US on the global liquidity. We're also looking at what's going on with China, which their economy is absolutely melting down. You see what's going on in Europe. They're already cutting rates on their federal interest rates. We're seeing, all these, $1 trillion plus in term banking loans and stuff that happened during COVID that are coming due in March. We see a lack of liquidity in the reverse repo market, but we're also in this weird space right now where the Fed is kind of like, well, how do we cut rates when we're now seeing that the inflation is going up? Typically, they wait for inflation to kind of level out and then they can start to cut rates, but they can't do that. But they need to cut rates because they need to borrow some money so that they can refund it. We're in a very bit of a quandary right now, but I would argue that Bitcoin is the answer in all this, because although it's trading a little bit speculatively right now and a little risk off, we're also seeing major players, the players that matter, that drive the liquidity markets, are only adding. They're stacking positions. The whales are just, so don't become a victim of this, the I want to give my money away trader in this market, because you're trading every single move on leverage, because they are trying their best to shake your ass out of this market. Now, coming back over here, let me delete I'm going to leave that on there just so I can use it later. But Cardano also got the move. Look at this, broke out of this range. Now we got a bull flag. So what does this mean for Cardano? Well, for Cardano, there's a sort of bull pennant right there. The measured move on this, and we'll do a little conservatively right here. This is a measured move that puts us right back into the zone here. Look, this is basically testing where? Right where this bounced, right where this bounce right here, this rejected, this bounce. I mean, there's a lot of price picture. Look, bounce. So the measured move on the move that's already happened on Cardano comes right into a known zone if it breaks that direction. But we're seeing with the tariff announcements, with the economic impact announcements, with what's happening, you need to be careful right now. Yesterday's thumbnail was max caution. The caution isn't that, hey, we're about to absolutely melt down. The caution is that this market is super choppy right now because it's underlyingly so goddamn bullish, but we're getting economic frustrations that are making the market chop and taking advantage of the bullishness because there's hype there. But then because it's not moving, now we're getting into this sort of semi-fear zone that, I mean, I don't envy anybody that just got into the market because this is frustrating to deal with. But this is what's going to really give you thick skin in this market. DCA in price says ONDO down 5%. That sucks because that's my largest holding right now. Let's look at it. Well, I mean, it's the same thing. We had that big sell-off, the washout, come back up into the zone consolidation. Now the question is going to be, do we lose this zone right here? If we do, where do we go? Well, we already have it marked out from yesterday, right here down to $1.22. It's a kind of a range. I'm going to put a bar on here. It's kind of a range that we'd be looking at right in here. Basically $1.23 to $1.20. Basically this $1.20 range. If this loses, comes down here. If this loses, I think we're coming back to test back down here to $1.09, which although I'd be frustrated for my current holdings with my retail minded, oh, why? But then on the flip side, I know I get paid. on a regular basis. So if this does break down, then I start hoping, okay, let's look for targets down here. And if I'm able to allocate when I get paid next, when I draw in another contract, when I do, you know what I mean? Then I'm able to lower my average entry. Because I think my two highest convictions in this market, this cycle, are ONDO and Chainlink. And this is still holding the zone. We already have it marked out. If this loses, we're looking for an opportunity down here at 15. Aerodrome also. Look at this, just pinching into this falling wedge. And look at this bounce. Holy moly, bounce there, bounce there. Where else did it bounce? Back here, September. Where else did it bounce? Right here in July. Where else did it bounce? Back here, the first bounce, March of 2024. So on the one hand, this is frustrating. On the other hand, this is starting to show signs where we're at a support level and a falling wedge coming to the pinnacle of it. So this does look like it may has a higher opportunity of bouncing to the upside, but we've seen in some prices lately that you can't just bet that this is only going to go up from here. Because although this is the case, statistically, this should bounce from here. We've seen the opposite happen on these patterns in the last 2 months. And my argument for that, my theory on that is that there's so much forward-facing bullishness that it's like, okay, all right, yeah, they're going to think it's great bullish. All right, cool, let's get them to go long on support. Boom, drop it. So you got to be patient for that right now. I think even if this moves up, I think we're going to get a pretty big move down before the continuation. If this moves down, there's going to be a lot of committed there. It's probably going to fake out here, boom, and then get the move. It's just ripening people up with so much frustration in the market. Let's look at some stuff we haven't looked at in a while. Let's Moonwell. How's Moonwell doing? Actually, I haven't looked at this in a minute. So great point. Falling channel. What happened? Broke bearish. Boom. Not only broke bearish, came up, retested, came back, and basically faked out. Like right here. It's like we're going to continue dropping. Nope. We just have basically basically like a bear pennant here, bear flag. But is it going to continue down? It's already basically at near record lows, So to me, this would be, if you were ever frustrated over here that you maybe you got in high or you missed the boat, this just round tripped all the way back to this price. I mean, that is a massive sell-off. I mean, that is 74% sell-off there, and currently at about 72%. I mean, I hadn't even seen this chart since I moved out of this somewhere over in here. I mean, it might have been like right in here is where I got out, and thank God I did. Look at that, boom! And I told you all about it in the BitLab community, also in the private member streams. Become a member on the channel, everybody. All you got to do is right here below the video. Make sure subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and then you'll see a join button right there. If you don't see the join button, I will share it with you right here in the live chat. Join to become a member. Join us. It is about $1.25 a week, and it's a great way to help keep things going here on the channel. Now, coming back over to Moonwell, I mean, massive sell-off. You know, I might actually be getting in because that is awesome. I'm very bullish on this for the cycle. Now, why would I get out if I'm bullish? Because I was looking at what's going on with the chart, but also looking at where I think institutional money is going to be focused, because I think that's what's going to kick off the next big run. So because of that, it's like, okay, I consolidated out of some of my smaller market cap plays into ONDO and Chainlink. Now, as those start to move and I get other money coming in, then I can start to go and dive back into some of the riskier plays. XRP says black tea with milk. I mean, big sell-off there, but remember how big of a move this made. Let's go to the 3-day chart. Boom, all the way up to the 1.618. Look at that. And back down to the 1. If this can't hold this 1, which we got a pretty big wick up, it's kind of holding on to this 382. If this comes back down, I'll be watching this zone at the $1.91. If this loses, you know, $1.59, and, you know, a dream opportunity would be down here at $1.33 for those of you that buy, trade, or hold XRP. But for more than anything, I think this feels more like a washout. Okay, but super bullish. Okay, wash them out, come back to equilibrium. Let's watch what happens in this range. And remember, there's other news and context. If Brad Garlinghouse, if Charles Hoskinson, if some of the other players in the crypto ecosystem are part of the Crypto Council, Advisory Council, which it looks like Charles Hoskinson is going to be having that meeting soon. If Brad Garlinghouse is part of that as well, if there's more integrations with how they're deploying things, especially with some of the stablecoin regulation and the integration with banks and all this stuff, whether you think it's right, wrong, good, bad, it's not in the spirit of crypto or not. Sometimes you just look at these assets and do I want to make money? And I do think XRP is going to do very well this cycle. Do I think it's going to go to 500? No. If anybody told you that, delete them from anything you're following. That's freaking nonsense. If XRP went to $500 a coin, that would be like, there would be such an astronomical GDP market cap. It'd be like larger than the world's money. Okay. A $14 XRP would be out of context. $12, the top of the range, I think it could go. $10 would be overwhelming. Somewhere in the $6 to $9 range, depending on how this cycle moves forward, right? Then you got other things like HBAR also looks very similar to XRP. Just didn't get the second higher run up, but looking very similar. But see how this came down? Where did this tap? Look, almost right about here. If HBAR had a little bit larger of a sell-off, I'd be looking for a great target down here in the 15 cent to 14 cent range. But currently, it's kind of holding above. Let's actually move this. I don't know why it's right there. Look at where this bounced. Came right down to this high. The next target in there would be right in this zone. But if this is able to hold, what does it look like? It's on the 3-day. Okay, VWAP's back up. Money flow is still positive. The stochastics have almost fully reset. RSI is starting to round out. That's on the 3-day. What does it look like on the 6-hour? Negative money flow, but the stochastics are starting to round about. The market's in chop mode, trying to scare you. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I don't even know where can we send you? Because I don't have anybody after this to send people to. Let me see. Oh, it's already scheduled. So we're going to head over to DGen Alpha with Taco. Go show Taco some love. Say the BitLab family says, what's up, Taco? We're going to send you there now. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Ding the bell. I appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. And I'll see you in the next one. Adios.